Hey Ben, it's good to see you. I have a short proposal for you and then a question, but we have a conservative musician group chat. We all study music. Oh, my name's Jonathan, by the way. I study music at UBC. And we all agree that you need a better theme song for your show.
Okay.
So you want to commission us to play it for you?
Okay, so a couple of things about this. First of all, you are 180% correct. It is so true. Okay. Okay. This is when you launch a company, you'll see this, okay? When you bootstrap yourself into existence, there are certain things that just get carried along. It's like evolutionary holdovers, and the guitar riff at the beginning is that thing, right? So what happened, like, here's the backstory on the guitar riff at the beginning of my show. So the show is starting, we're literally doing it from Jeremy Boring's pool house. It was really like me in a pool house with like a couple of guys who we were friends with and no room, and it's wild. If you go back and watch the first episode and you see how far we've come, it's pretty cool. And we didn't even have music the first episode. About 3 weeks in, they hand build that set. Anybody remember the old set that had like the boards in the back, like the wooden boards in the back? Right, that was like a couple of guys who we knew who literally just went in one day and just nailed together a bunch of boards, and that was the backdrop of my show. And we realized that we needed some marker for the audio editors to cut around, right? They needed some sort of cue for the graphic to fly in. The problem was that licensing music is super expensive. And we were deeply afraid that if we were to use unlicensed music, then it would get pulled down, or people on the left would, own the music and go crazy. And by the way, talk radio has been living in this kind of gray space for a while. Every time you listen to talk radio and you hear a song that you know that comes in from the bumper, they're basically living in a very gray space in American law, and there's a very good shot that at some point somebody's going to sue for residuals, and it's going to get super ugly. So we decided we weren't going to do that. Instead, we got Jeremy Boring's brother, Will, to literally go in a studio and play a guitar for 35 seconds. Okay? And that became that riff. Then they've proposed to me several alternatives, none of them very good. And the problem is it's become Pavlovian for a lot of people. Right now, they hear the riff and they know that it's the show. So it's actually this terrible guitar riff has become part of the show almost permanently. So in other words, for us to shift that, you'd have to blow my socks off, but I'm totally open for it. Like,
Do we have time for the other question?
what was the other question? The first one was good, so I'll give you time.
All right, thank you. So I have a lot of family that's, undocumented immigrants. And so I see firsthand, how good, these types of people can do for the country. And as we, like in the present, 90% of the people who are deported are, because they committed a crime or something like that. So technically we kind of already have some sort of amnesty, if you will. So I just wanted to ask what your position is on amnesty for, law-abiding citizens that have been here, 20 plus years or something like that.
So my position on amnesty is the same as my position on immigration, which is that if we have the resources to analyze several hundred million, IRS returns every year, then we have the resources to analyze it on an individual level whether people should stay or whether they should go. And we do this on immigration all the time, right? If you're a new immigrant, then you have to go through a process, and we have to determine whether we think you're going to be good for the country or bad for the country. There are a lot of undocumented immigrants who have been living here for a really long time, illegal immigrants, and they did immigrate illegally, but that doesn't mean the end of the world, right? I mean, a lot of people overstay their visas, a lot of people came through the southern border, have been very productive citizens, and would be excellent additions to the country as citizens. And there are a lot of people who have not. It's up to the country to decide, essentially, whether they should stay or whether they should go. I don't think that presence in the country alone is enough to demarcate whether somebody should stay or go, and I don't think duration of presence in the country is enough to demarcate whether somebody should stay or they should go. So criminality, I don't think, is the only standard. I think it is a very strong standard. If you commit a crime, you certainly should go. But let's say that you've been in the United States for a long time, you've been receiving soft forms of welfare, because some forms of welfare are banned, some kind of through back doors or not. But let's say that you've been sort of a net drain on the resources of the state or locality. If you've been here 30 years, I don't really care. I don't think the United States should continue to subsidize you. If you've been here working a job and you've raised a family, you should go to the back of the line, and then we should analyze you. And if you deserve to be here, and if you're going to be a net addition to the United States, then we should make you a citizen. We should give you a pathway. But it needs to be done on an individual level. And I'm always puzzled when people do this on the basis of sort of like an entire class of people, as though the country doesn't have a stake in determining who comes in the country. Right? We shouldn't be doing this as like entire group of people from this age to this age who came in this year from this country should get to stay. I don't understand why it would work that way. We should be analyzing as again, I believe in seeing people as individuals. This is true of illegal immigrants as well. People who came here illegally, if you are a benefit to the country, you went to a lot of so-called dreamers, right? People who came in as children, they went to college, they're now graduating from UCLA with a degree in engineering. Is it a good idea for us to deport them? I don't think so. If somebody came as a child, hasn't been arrested for a crime, but dropped out of high school and is now a member of a gang, should we deport them? Of course. Right? It should be done on an individual level as opposed to doing it just sort of as a broad class. And I think most Americans can get on board with this. Most Americans basically say, shut the border, figure out what to do with the people here, right? And it should be two separate things. It shouldn't be all in one. Because you need to first shut the border so you're not incentivizing people to cross illegally more, and then you need to figure out what to do with the people here. But both parts are required.